Sometimes when I do some of these videos, it feels like I'm saying, look out, the cliff edge is coming, and the driver just keeps on driving. And today's story comes from the Sunderland Echo. So, Nissan, warning on Brexit should set alarm bells ringing, says Sunderland MP. So, Nissan's warning about the serious implications of a botched Brexit should set alarm bells ringing, says Sunderland MP. Bridget Phillipson, the MP for Houghton and Sunderland South, is a leading supporter of the people's vote to let the public have their final say on whatever deal is on the table before Britain leaves the EU. Nissan warned today that if Brexit does not include a trade deal, it will have serious implications for the car manufacturer's Sunderland factory. The Japanese firm employs about 8,000 people in the UK and said it would said that crashing out of the EU single market and customs union into the WTO rules, that's the World Trade Organization, would be detrimental to its operation. And we've said this before. When they first announced this, they went, we'll just up and leave. Because here's the thing, Europe, bigger market, bigger people to sell cars to. Here, tiny market, much smaller than Europe. And if people think that we're going to somehow get good trade deals in the WTO, bear in mind when we were fully members of the WTO, we were ignored. Because the idea that we are somehow this great, amazing trading nation hasn't existed since before the First World War. So, Ms. Phillipson said that the latest warnings from Nissan will set alarm bells ringing across the northeast. If a botched Brexit that's being pushed by the government leads to loss of manufacturing jobs in my region or in other parts of the UK, it will not be forgiven or forgotten. The government cannot continue to play politics with people's jobs and livelihoods. No one voted for Brexit that dismantles our highly skilled automotive sector or other manufacturing industries. Warnings like this from major employers like Nissan only strengthen the cause for a people's vote at the end of the Brexit process. The Sunderland Central MP Julia Elliott added, "I'm not surprised that they are announcements. With Nissan, what is needed is a certainty about the future of the conditions that they will be operating in. To leave a deal to this late stage or to have any idea of what system will be in operation is negligent on the government's part. They are dealing with people's lives and jobs and they need to get their act together." And Sharon Hodgson, the MP for Washington and Sunderland West, added, "The Labour Party has been constant in affirming that any Brexit must protect jobs and the economy. That means negotiating a customs union and a single market deal after we leave. We will not stand..." and I want to point this out. You know, don't think that Labour would be in any different position than the Conservatives at the moment. This idea that, oh, we can strike a customs agreement, unless we basically say, okay, we are going to accept being in the customs union and being in the single market, like Norway, but we do not have a seat at the table, that is what we would have to accept. Now, here's the thing. A lot of Brexiteers would say that that's the worst option. But when we were in the EU and we had a lot of influence in the EU because we were a big part of the EU, we had a seat at the table, we could help in make these and shape these rules. You know, but there you go. We will not stand by while our constituencies' livelihoods are gambled away by this reckless government. No matter how people voted in 2016, they did not vote to be worse off. And yet, here's the thing. We told you, if you voted this way, you would be worse off. And coming in the next one we're going to read, is a study that's come out telling you basically that working class people, the people who most voted for Brexit in 2016, are going to be the most affected by Brexit. So look forward to that one coming soon. But anyway, we continue. The Tory conference this week has shown yet again that the government is still negotiating with itself, despite just being 10 days to go until the October European Council summit, by which time the outline for a deal needs to be agreed. This chaos has gone on for too long. If the government are incapable of securing a deal that delivers for everyone, they should stand aside. And here's the thing, Labour's plan is not really any different. Unless Corbyn basically goes, yeah, we're just going to become like Norway. But, there you go. And remember, we've talked about this before, that there are different factions in the Conservative Party, just as there are different factions in the Labour Party. And afterwards, especially afterwards coming out of the European Union, there will be a Tory civil war. There is a Tory civil war now brewing, but Theresa May is just about managing to keep the lid on. We talked about this yesterday, about how most of the successful Conservative leaders since the Conservative Party has been have been around, have been the ones that have managed to juggle all these different groups and keep them together. And don't think that after Brexit, these groups are going to, kiss and make up. Because the people who are pushing this hard, Brexit policy, this clean Brexit, which basically means no deal, and is, which is what they're trying to rebrand it as. These are the people that want to get rid of all these European regulations, rules and laws that they believe have been holding Britain back, but yet they have no evidence, I have presented no evidence to the fact that these laws and rules, that if we got rid of them, would be any beneficial. And here we are. We're going to be a country, an island nation on the outside of Europe that has no influence or power how it acts, and yet Europe is just going to get stronger and stronger and have a lot more bigger say in world affairs, and will just be this irrelevant little thing on the edge of Europe. The days of us having any idea or power are just long gone. And in Europe, we had a lot more say and influence. And now, and not only to mention that parts of our GDP are just going to evaporate overnight come March 2019. And you've got the Bank of England boss basically saying, if a recession happens, we're screwed. You've got Theresa May saying, oh, we need to end austerity, and then announce nothing about how she's going to reinvest all this money that apparently we've saved, or how all these, years of, suffering to save are going to be worth it. What's the reward? What's the light at the end of the tunnel? It's just more austerity, more deregulation for these companies. Probably a lot more British businesses moving to Europe, especially the manufacturers, because the manufacturers aren't staying in the UK. They're going to just move to Europe, because that's the bigger market. And with that goes a whole lot of jobs. I mean, Nissan itself, where is it? 8,000 people. Japan's already said, yeah, we're not interested in the UK anymore. Once you leave, bye. That's what's going to happen. And we said this would happen. And it's, you know, it's happening. So, yeah. So much for Project Fear then, right, guys? Because that's what you tried to convince yourself that it was, but, you know, delusions only will take you so far.